What is tantric intimacy? What is this magical, ecstatic state of extended orgasm and infinite love that we hear about from the tantrics and the gurus? And how do we make it happen in our lives? Well, there's two main aspects that we want to look at. The first is our connection between the divine and the physical within ourselves. And the second is the masculine-feminine flow between two people, which has nothing to do with gender. So historically, Tantra comes out of ancient traditions where nobody delineated between the divine and the physical. Everyone knew that they were fully divine beings here on earth. It was common knowledge. So how we interacted with each other, with nature, and how we spent our lives was based in this very basic understanding that of course we're divine. Look at us. We're miracles walking around. And how differently we would live if we deeply knew that. And then at some point in our history, this was separated from us by the powers that be, whoever they may have been. And the divine and God and all these things became something out there. It became something in the clouds, something in another dimension. And we became just human, just physical. And we were meant to live our lives, focus on having children, working, making money, looking a certain way, all these kind of things. And there's a lot of different ways to look at that. But today we're going to just imagine ourselves, here we are in our physical lives. We're busy, we have many focuses and stresses and hopes and fears and all these things. And what we need to do is reconnect with our divinity. If you even look at your chakras, in spiritual worlds, we always are looking at these chakras. Within us, we have the first chakra that connects us to the earth, the community, nature. Second chakra, how we connect with each other. Third chakra, who am I? What is my mission here? Fourth chakra, universal love, how we all connect. Fifth chakra, let's go up to the top. Here's our connection to the divine. Here is how we listen within for guidance. And here is how we share it. These upper chakras are part of us. They're not out there somewhere with some God that we have to appease or we have to be good for or we have to do the right thing. They're a part of us. These upper three chakras are equally a part of us as our lower three. The key is to actually allow them to blend together. And of course, how we connect them is through the heart chakra. But of course, love, actual unconditional, agape, divine love for ourselves, for each other, is unfortunately quite uncommon. And so we get stuck in the lower chakras, just working away, grinding, or we get stuck in the upper chakras and we can't bring our vision down to earth. So years ago, when I first published my book, Tantric Intimacy, I created this graphic because I actually, in my mind at that time, this book came out in 2017, I actually just imagined two worlds coming together. And then this was the magic spot where our energies, touched, kissed, created something magical. This was my vision in creating this graphic. And I had sent it out to a few people to kind of say, what do you think of this as a book cover? And one guy wrote back, he goes, do you realize that what you've drawn or what you've created is the inside of a toroidal field? Well, if you've ever seen a torus, imagine a donut. If you were to follow the crease inside the donut, it's very close together. In many ways, this toroidal field, this torus, you can imagine this in the human body. Imagine the top of the donut is your crown chakra, and the bottom of the donut is your root chakra. So the energy of the divine is coming in through the crown chakra, animating this incredible life force, going down and out of the root chakra, circling back up. And within ourselves, we are essentially a toroidal field. And what is really intriguing to me, you know, when you listen to curious things inside of you, and then I look at this book cover, what is this point? What is this point in my toroidal field? This is the heart center. So this is the first journey, our first tantric journey, is connecting our divine self into our real life, getting feedback from our physical life, back and forth, and allowing this beautiful flow of energy within us. And this is no small journey, right? There's a lot of unlearning to be done, mostly unlearning. And maybe we need to learn some different philosophy about life and what reality actually is to be able to integrate that. And this is where tantric philosophy comes in, where we actually have an entirely different view than perhaps we were taught growing up by the church, by our families, by society. We need an expanded view that actually includes every one of us being fully divine and physical beings. This is the first step to experiencing tantric intimacy. Because then what happens is we actually bring that divine self into relationships. Now this applies to all relationships. You know, even in this book, I talk about my dad, my mom, my kids, parenting. In all of our life, we're meant to be tantrically intimate. But let's take this to romantic relationships, just for simplicity. So now here we are, these two fully divine and physical beings. And we look at each other and we say, let's experience something even greater, right? Alone, we have this beautiful bliss state of divine energy flowing through our physical lives. And don't get me wrong, I know it's easy to say, but it is a real journey to get there. It's a beautiful journey, but it is a journey. So in order to understand how we come together, we need to understand the tantric worldview, the tantric creation story. So if we take a lineage like Kashmir Shaivism, we begin as Shiva Shakti, not Shiva and Shakti, Shiva Shakti, oneness. In oneness, we are all things. We are connected to everything, we know everything, we are oneness. This is where we are all one, things like that. From here, they create duality. And in duality, we get to experience each other. We get to experience trees. We get to experience the sky. We get to experience food. Duality simply means two things interacting, as opposed to oneness, which just is. Now, these two energies are very different. It's kind of like if you take the oneness and you split them out, not into two onenesses, but in two complementary magnetic aspects. These two complementary aspects are called the masculine and feminine. This is not about gender. These are about universal energies. And there is a challenge with these words because, of course, they've been quite bastardized in the gender stereotypes of the patriarchy. But pre-gender, before all of that, we simply have, in all things in the universe, the masculine and feminine energies. The masculine that fills the cup of the feminine, the masculine that protects the vulnerable feminine, the feminine that expands for the masculine to energize. This is the interplay of two universal energies. So one of the goals of tantric intimacy is to experience ecstasy and bliss. Well, ecstasy and bliss comes from oneness. Now, this oneness can be the masculine and feminine within. It can be the masculine and feminine with others. It can be the masculine and feminine with a sunset or an ocean. But we're going to talk about intimacy with another. So what this means in an intimate romantic relationship where you are seeking ecstasy or tantric intimacy, we will polarize into the masculine and feminine. In heterosexual relationships, this is often the male will polarize into the masculine and the female will polarize into the feminine. In other relationships, one person will be strengthened by the masculine energy, one will be strengthened and expanded by being in the feminine. And that's how we know. When this happens, when we polarize, and again, this is also quite a journey within, because of this patriarchal energy we've been living in, there's been this domination of the masculine energy over the feminine. There's been separation because we lack basic love, basic agape. So we struggle with this, and so this too is a great journey that can be happening either after we take this beautiful divine physical journey or side by side. And they help us play back and forth, informing each other. But what's beautiful is when I wrote my book, The Divine Union of the Masculine and Feminine, I asked the artist, Gina Murray, to see if she could create a yin-yang symbol where it was actually three-dimensional and flowing together and flowing into each other. And I think she did a beautiful job. Because this is the goal. The goal is for the masculine and feminine to be flowing into each other in a constant loop. And what happens is as this magnetism gets bigger and bigger and bigger, as the person in the masculine polarizes more and more and more, the magnetism between them becomes stronger and stronger and stronger. And as it gets stronger and stronger and stronger, they actually eventually become one great masculine and feminine, one great moving yin-yang symbol. And this is the dance of the intimacy, the foreplay, the intercourse, whatever it looks like for you. And as it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, all of a sudden, that masculine and feminine joins together and poof, you've returned to oneness. This is the ecstasy potential of tantric intimacy. When two fully divine and physical beings come together, polarizing into the universal energies of masculine and feminine, amazing things are possible, things that are beyond words, beyond anything we could ever describe. But we don't have to get there right away. Every step of this journey is either healing, pleasurable, ecstatic, wonderful, and sometimes very difficult. Because in order to connect our divine and our physical, we have to let go of all the self-limiting beliefs we've been taught. We need to really deeply understand just how big and magnificent we are. In order to polarize into the masculine or feminine, we need to unearth all of the training and trauma we may have experienced in this life through the domination, the patriarchy, the separation paradigm that we've been living in. These are no small things. But there's a reason we're so drawn to Tantra. Because our separation from our divinity is painful. The unhealed trauma of the separation, the patriarchal energy of the domination is painful. We carry these wounds, we carry this separation from others, separation from within every single day, and we're seeking healing. And so even though in the West, the journey of Tantra is often begun because we seek something deeper in relationships, we seek tantric intimacy, this desire becomes the most beautiful vehicle of healing and integration of self, and learning to deeply connect with others, to discover unconditional love, respecting each other's paths, fully allowing every person to be completely whole, releasing codependence, all the things that have become pretty epidemic in our world. So this is tantric intimacy. And the beautiful thing is, we start right here, right now. Maybe we want to begin this merging of the divine and the physical, so we meditate. We sit and we experience the breath. We experience our infinite self. We focus on this beautiful heart chakra, the center that connects our divine and our physical. Maybe we're more called to the masculine-feminine dynamic, and we explore redefining them for union. And we start playing with that with friends, with family. And maybe if you already have a partner, maybe you start exploring that as well. Do we actually have unconditional love and respect for each other's journeys? Or are we always trying to fix each other, creating more and more separation and mistrust? Every step is wonderful. But the beautiful thing is, every one of us has guidance within to bring us there. Tantra is a spiritual journey. And that's why we need to actually, on a day-to-day basis, listen to our intuition, cultivate that ability to hear what is my next step right now. And even if we don't understand it, we take that one step, we have faith in it, and then we see the shifts and the changes around us, and we keep taking one step forward on this tantric journey to our true selves.